everybody, Joe Coffey here for PremierGuitar.com. We're at the LA Amp Show 2010, checking out a brand new amp from a brand new company. It's called Joe Morgan, and that's the name of the guy too. Joe, how are you, sir?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. I understand the world needed one more boutique amp maker, and you're the guy, right?
Yes, that's the reason I'm doing this. I figured that there just weren't enough boutique guitar amplifier builders. So I'm really fitting a niche that the other 450 guys just couldn't fill. So that's really why I do Morgan Amplification.
Well, but seriously though, there are a ton of builders here at the show, and as we're walking around, of course, in the hallway, everybody's like, "Oh, what have you heard that you dig and whatnot?" We're hearing a lot of guys say, "Have you checked out the Joe Morgan amp yet?" Seriously, and so here we are, and this is my first time to hear it. What should we know about this?
Well, this particular model, I think the big reason for most of the buzz though is because yesterday I was walking around with just a wad of cash. I'm just like, because actually this particular amp is the RCA35. I have probably 16 different amp models because I'm a little schizophrenic, but for the most part I live in an AC30 kind of world, and so a lot of my tone comes from just I dig a raw guitar amp. I dig a lot of harmonics and touch sensitivity and all the other buzzwords that you'll see at the end of a million other boutique amplifiers. But really the stuff that I build, I honestly built for me, because I wanted something that would work within my playing style, and that would be something that that just would respond well to the way I play guitar. RCA is basically my take on a 35 watt Class A, something that'll get around a bunch of different tones, whether that be, I can turn up the treble, pull the bright switch, and I think we can cop some at least fairly decent Vox style tone.
Sounds great, man.
Yeah, so it'll do that, and it'll also do, if I roll the treble off a bit, get rid of the bright, bring up the mids, a little more bass, and it'll cop a Fendery vibe, but being a Class A amp, it's got its own set of overtones going, and it's got its own kind of grind, and, well, tell me what you think.
What do you think?
It's awesome. Sounds great. It really covers a lot of bases, and what I really dig about the amp is it cleans up really well. You can really play, like spanky kind of that kind of stuff, and then turn it up and get, some grind. From just your volume control. So it's really, really cool.
Talk about the iron inside.
I use nothing but mercury magnetics. It's again and again and again I'll see on forums and different people talking about, it doesn't matter, or this sounds better than that. And dude, it matters. Everything inside matters. And one of the things about Morgan Amplification is my mission statement is no employees, no investors. I don't like people. And seriously, but I don't want to have somebody telling me what I can and can't do. And when I look at other boutique companies, and I've had like 500 amps in the last 5 years, and looking at the insides and seeing the things where people cut corners, where people, it's more of an amplifier company than a guy who's building something that he really believes in and is doing something where you're just not going to sacrifice. It's just like no compromises. And by not having employees, by not having investors, by making them all myself, I know when one's good and one's bad. But the one thing that all my amps have are mercury magnetic transformers, because they make a huge difference in the tone. They make a huge difference in the just the touch sensitivity of the amp, and the reliability is. I had a customer who bought an amp in Minnesota. I get an email from him 2 weeks later. Hey, is $300 too much money for a replacement output transformer? I'm thinking, $300 for a replacement output? You've had the amp 2 weeks. He goes, oh, I left it on all night without the speaker being plugged in, and now it doesn't work. I said, no, it's tubes. No, I took it to a tech, and he told me the output transformer is blown. I said, it's a mercury transformer. There's no way that's blown. And he said, no, he really said, I tell you what, I'll pay to ship it back. You ship it back to me. If the output transformer is blown, I'll buy you a new one. If it's not, you pay for the tubes and the shipping back to you. He says, deal. Ships it back to me. They throw new tubes in it. Sounds great, you know? So be careful who you get for a tech.
Well, this is Premier Guitar, so you can't go too deep. You want to talk about other componentry? Is that a word, componentry? What else is going on?
Well, I use a lot of fairy dust, and I have a lot of proprietary, caps made for me that from a company in Japan that actually has made in Switzerland. So, no, it's lies. Yeah, it's the best stuff I can find. And it sounds good. If it doesn't sound good, I don't put it in there. I do use Sozo caps. I think they really make a difference, but you have to let them break in. They say that they like 100 hours on them before they're seated, and I gotta agree. I've had there's an amp I make called an AC20, which sits in between an AC15 and an AC30, and I needed just a little bit more headroom. And everybody was building top boost amps, like. Dude, all the cool tones came from the normal channel of an AC30. So I wanted, and I built it again for myself, I just wanted something that was going to be louder, had more clean headroom than an AC15. It wasn't quite as crazy loud as an AC30, so you could actually use it in a club. And, built the thing up. I had serial number 1 back. That was probably about a year and a half old. I had a 3-month-old one, and I had one that was brand new. And the difference in tone between those 3 amps, I thought it was tubes. I'm swapping tubes, I'm swapping everything. But as those caps break in, and as the transformers break in too, those amps, they just open up and breathe, and they just have all this life that it's just, the guys that flip amps and go through stuff, they're never going to experience that. It's kind of like a good pair of shoes, They might be a little stiff at first, but if you wear them around for a while, they can really be your favorites. In fact, I've had these for 5 years.
Well, hey, I'm thinking we should test drive this with some humbuckers. All right, last question. What should people know about you and your amps that we haven't already covered?
Just that I really do care. I build them by myself, and it doesn't sound right when it comes off my bench. It doesn't leave. I don't have a handful of people building them. I'm not trying to get rich doing this. I would do this if nobody bought them.
And the price?
This one is $17,000. My most expensive head is $2,000. My least expensive head is $1,200. This one is $1,650. Cabs range in price depending on what speakers you want. That's a 1x12 with an Alnico in it, and that runs about $600. So, I'm trying to be affordable. As a guitar player, I couldn't afford a $35,000 or $5,000 head. And then if I could, I feel sketchy about putting it in the car and taking it to the gig and that kind of thing. So I'm trying to be affordable, but with no compromises.
Right on. Where can people find out more about your stuff?
Morganamps.com.
Right.
Probably be the easiest.
Cool. Thanks so much for your time, man. Sure
Thanks
appreciate it. You want to take us out, man?
I guess so.
All right. I'm Joe Coffey. You're watching PremierGuitar.com.